Welcome all to Off the Cuff. Hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. And today's show will highlight a story of a woman who created history as the earliest Indian classical artist to record on the gramophone. And her recordings were so popular, they created a lavender record as her signature. Her name was Janki Bai Allahabadi. Do you want to know more? Then keep listening to this interview. And to talk about it, I am so glad to welcome Charlotte Moraga.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Alka Raghuram.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And Saneyee Purandare.
Thank you so much.
Welcome all. They have accomplished a lot. So I will just give a very brief bio for each one and then we'll move forward. Charlotte Moraga is the artistic director at Chitresh Institute, a renowned Kathak dancer and choreographer. She is committed to developing and nurturing this next generation of Kathak artists. She has created choreography for the CDYC, the
Chitresh Youth Company.
Youth company for almost 2 decades and won numerous accolades for her contribution to Kathak. Please go to chitreshdasinstitute.org to know more about Charlotte. And Saneyee performs regularly as a solo artist, composes and records music, accompanies classical dances, and runs an organization called Swaraswati School of Music in the East Bay area to teach and promote Indian classical music. And Alka Raghuram is an award-winning filmmaker and a multidisciplinary artist. She was awarded the L'Oreal Woman of Worth Filmmaker Award for a script, The Conqueror, at Tribeca All Access, and Director of the Year at the IDF Forum Westlake International Documentary Festival for her feature documentary Burqa Boxes about Muslim women boxes in Kolkata. Amazing work, all of you. So, first question, tell me more about Janki Bai Allahabadi. I had briefly heard about Gohar Jan of those times, but a little bit about her.
Yes, absolutely. So I think we all have our connection with Janki Bai through this project, and my connection has been a very musical one.
Okay.
I had heard of her as an early recording artist, like you said, with the gramophone and some of her beautiful compositions. I didn't know her inspiring life story, so I became aware of that through the research that we have been doing. And it was just a very deep wish to sort of do something, create some music or recreate or just, be able to sing some of these songs that happened nearly 100 years ago. So I think that's something that stood out, and being able to just celebrate that kind of, the inspiration, the power, being a woman at that time and doing this kind of work. That's been my connection with Janki Bai.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Charlotte?
My connection to her is more through the dance. My Guruji, obviously deeply steeped in Kathak for many decades. My Guruji was raised in Kolkata, and his guru used to take him to the Bull Bazaar, the Baiji quarters at that time, which now is a metro system. It's completely gone. And he used to tell stories, and we met his guru sisters who were Baijis as well, and he used to tell so many stories of what was happening there in the Kota. And so this has been in our imagination in the dance for many times. And, times have changed, but these are the forebearers. The Baijis they're the stalwarts, they're the stanchions, they're the forebearers of the art form. And so what particularly drew me to this story when Saneyee shared an article was the fact that she's called Chappan Churi.
Chappan Churi, yes.
Chappan Churi. And so this standard of dance and music, especially back then, was you have to be beautiful. You had to be very beautiful. It's visual, and especially for women. So this standard of beauty, she completely flew in the face of that, because when she was very young, she was attacked and her face was marred and she had scars on his face. And so when she got the opportunity to sing for the Maharaja, she wore a veil. She wore a veil, and he was like, how dare you? I need to see your face. And she was like, well, the only beauty you need to see is in my voice, something to that effect. And they became great friends. And so the fact that she, on her own terms, dictated how her art would be presented and seen, and she became very famous doing that, to me was just such an inspiration and very empowering. And I'm always looking for those inspirations that empower us through the dance, because when I create dance, I feel like I have to say something that's important, that's going to impact people. And so that's how we ended up on this story.
Wow. Yeah, it is a tremendous story, and she was called Chappan Churi because what I read was that she was stabbed 56 times, and that's why she was also given that name. And she was very proud of the place she grew up in, Allahabad. That's why she called herself Janki Bai Allahabadi. That's the way. And also, you are telling her story in 2025. How, and you've already said, she was inspiring, but how is it relevant to the audience who are going to watch this upcoming production by Chitresh Institute?
So her story is inspiring, and what's also inspiring is the bit that how she embraced the name Chappan Churi.
Yes.
And that's relevant because especially in these times when and throughout history, when women have borne the weight, the guilt, and the shame of every attack on their bodies, she took control of her narrative, and she was okay with that, and she did not let that impede her artistic progress, her artistic life, as well as in the public imagination. She embraced her name as Chappan Churi. In fact, we don't know how many times she was stabbed.
Yeah.
She was the one who said it's an alliteration, so let me say Chappan Churi because it sounds good. So and that it's non-trivial because it feels like she had a poetic imagination.
Yes.
If you're going to call me the stabbed woman, let me give you a name that rhymes.
Yay.
So there is power to that. And I feel like bad things happen to people, and if you're going to take ownership of your story, then you that's a first step towards controlling how history remembers you.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderfully
Yes.
said, I have to say. And she defied her times, and she defied the norms of beauty, because courtesans were meant to be beautiful and sensual, and she defied all of it, and she stood her ground and became such a celebrated singer, and that's how we know her. But Alka, one more thing is that you are the dramaturg for this show. What aspects did you research, and how are you going to bring that era alive?
Dramaturg is someone who researches a story.
Yes.
and kind of makes an attempt. It's it's an art form. Kathak is an art form. It's not a biography we are telling.
Yes.
We are taking artistic inspiration from her life, her music. Saneyee has composed beautiful music.
Yes.
and written beautiful songs inspired by her. Charlotte's choreography is amazing. And my job is to provide the first person narrative for the show, which is true to her, is true to the artistic form, not necessarily biographical. What I find interesting is a coincidence that she was named, her original name, like her name Janki, is also Sita's name.
Yes.
And Sita is considered the perfect woman. and I find the contradiction between the name she was given and her life, and how she, while Sita is known as a woman who had to sacrifice so much, was maligned so much, Janki Bai in her own lifetime was, so I'm focusing on also the contradiction and the coincidences between these names, and how she lives up to her name as well as embraces her names that the world gives her. And within that framework, it lies the whole, Janki represents what the world expects, and when you defy those expectations, what the world throws at you is Chappan Churi, and that they're the two of them together is something is what we are trying to bring out in the show as well.
Wonderful. This seems to be wonderful. Looking forward to it. And Saneyee, the big thing what I again read was that she started singing before the microphone, were discovered. So her voice had that throw and power,
Yes.
and, the grace. And you have the onus of singing her. You said two original.
Some are original, some are
Tell
her.
me, how are
yeah.
you preparing for that?
It's been, I don't think, I'm trying not to think too much about that because it's a lot of pressure to sound like somebody so amazing. And, like you said, before technology and the advent of a lot of these things that we take for granted these days. But I think what is really helpful in listening to the music is trying to sort of imagine what might have been going on in her mind while she sang some of these compositions. And a lot of the compositions that you hear, right, are written in a very celebratory manner. There's folk music, there's music about seasons, about a very typically patriarchal kind of society that she perhaps lived in. And then knowing her life story and how she sort of turned everything around, wondering how she must have fit into that equation, So that's what I'm trying to sort of focus on. And we have, like Alka ji said and Shala Didi said, we have actually written additional stanzas to some of the songs to try to imagine, what might have been going on in her mind.
Can you give a sample right now? That would be so lovely.
So there's a song called, the very first song that, Phul gendwana maro mohe ang lag jaye. So this is the song that, is kind of very, it's a signature song from those times. A lot of the women and a lot of the films, and so it has a stanza that goes, Saas nahi diya apni atariya, are dekhate nagariya, फूल गेंदवाना मारो मोहे अंग लग जाए. So that's the original, right? So we, Alka ji and I, we added, we were talking and we said, we added a few lines to that, talking about how the society might be looking and viewing and keeping an eye on, everything. So those are some beautiful compositions that we've tried to recreate.
Lovely. And I know she would sing more of Thumri and Khayal and Dadra and, like you said, folk. And Charlotte, now the big one is, she had the ada and the beauty in her singing. How are you incorporating it, through dance? You are globally recognized for your work, in Kathak, and we're truly, lucky to have you in the Bay Area. So a little bit about the preparation and the dancers who...
There are 4 dancers, Ishani Basak, Srija Bhattacharya, Vanita Mundhra, who's also a teacher at Chitresh Institute, and then Ishq Pradhan.
Ishq Pradhan,
Yeah. And I have been working with them for way over a decade. They I met them as young children when they came to audition for the Chitresh Youth Company, and obviously they committed themselves to the arduous, the rigorous reyaz, and they went for the solo when they graduated, and then they went off and are starting professional careers. And dance is such a huge part of them. It is their breath, it is their life, that we found a way to have them come back and continue their journey through professional productions, through touring productions. And so they are also my collaborators because now they're adults. They're no longer children. And the art form of Kathak has, just like music, has evolved. So we're not trying to dance like they would have Baijis would have danced 100 years ago. We're not doing that kind of research. And you had asked the question of how it relates to today. We in my Guruji's tradition, innovation through tradition, we are pushing the envelope of the art form. We have Khubsurti and nazakat has to be there, but we're not only doing Shringara Ras, we're also doing all the rases. And you have to, when you have a woman like Chappan Churi, you have to go there, right? You have to go there. So this is really also pushing my dancer collaborators to really push themselves to go there emotionally, to connect with Sanai's incredible voice emotionally. And so I think how we're doing this. We are structuring this around three major eras in her life. The Kota, where everything was as expected, was beautiful, but the dance is not going to be like it was 100 years ago. It's it is very beautiful and intense and has all the rasas and all that sort of thing. And then something happens in her life. This incident, which has been mythologized, and she has put forward how it happened, but basically she was, I don't want to use the word victim because she was anything but victim, but she was...
Survivor, you can say.
Yeah, violence, right? Violence. She experienced violence as 1 out of 3 women do in our culture today. And back then, who knows? It might have been it might have been worse. We'd like to think things get better, but she experienced this violence, and then so that is kind of a transformative moment. And we have some beautiful film that Alka has developed to sort of really carry that narrative forward. And what she's done with the film is just, it's so amazing. I'm very inspired by that. And then and then her professional career, her finding her song, where Saneyee has chosen a medley of songs, what each of the dancers will do as a solo. And then we end with dancers that come to the stage who are not in the professional company. They're students at CDI, they're teachers at CDI, and we end with sort of a signature lady of Guruji's and Tihai, and that power of all these women dancing, doing this incredible footwork in complete precision with power, I think is just a beautiful message of how we want to put the punctuation at the end of it.
Very well said, I have to say. Now comes to the production, The Wail of Janki Bai. All about it. Where is it happening? When is it? And where can people buy the tickets? Before I miss that altogether.
It is happening in San Francisco at ODC Theater, November 7th, 8th, and 9th. November 9th just happens to be my Guruji's birthday. So it's kind of that adds an extra significance. And in a way, because she is the forebearer of this art form, it is also an homage to my own Guru as well. Friday, Saturday are 8 p.m. shows. Sunday is a matinee. So we hope you can make it.
And you have incredible musicians that are joining.
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, on Sarangi, we have Rohan Misra, a young artist whose father, Ramesh Misra, accompanied my Guruji and me and the company on tour for many decades. And his father his grandfather accompanied my Guruji in Kolkata.
Wow.
So the Sarangi is
Legacy goes
it's
on.
again this
Wow.
theme keeps coming through, right? This unbroken line, and then of course Sudhakar on tabla, who's
Tabla is
Vaidyanathan.
okay.
he.
And
so-
we have Naren Joshi ji on harmonium.
Okay.
So we have tried to bring a lot of the traditional music,
Sarangi and
the way music was performed at that time, the way dance music, storytelling, everything was connected to each other. It was not happening instruments, everything was happening to it. So we tried to
Together,
sort of
yes.
bring that
Yes.
back into the show.
Yeah. Music at that time, I'm sure, had soul, I'll say, and togetherness and community, because everything was together. It wasn't digital when you lose
Absolutely.
the entire. So just talking to all of you makes me so interested in watching that's coming up by Chitresh Das Institute, and the tickets are available at chitreshdasinstitute.org.
.org.
Okay.
And ODC Theater ticket link as well.
And ODC
Yeah.
Theatre ticket link also. Now, one personal question is that you ladies, are bringing different forms of art to this collaboration. She's a singer. You're an artist, painter, and multidisciplinary artist. And you're a dancer. What are you personally taking back from this story of Janki Bai and this whole production? I can start with Sunny.
Sure. So I think as an artist living in the current times, or any times really, art gets defined by the society that we live in. There are certain expectations that one has of oneself or the community, the society. What is considered okay? What is considered how many boundaries to push as an artist? And I think I'm trying to take back the ability or the bravery or the strength to take chances while being an artist and do what feels right to the heart.
Wonderful.
I am very inspired by how she embraced technology. And I am also technology in the service of keeping up a tradition. It was gramophone that popularized classical music and made it accessible to everyone, that which was only accessible to upper class initially, like earlier, before the advent of gramophone. I am creating short cinematic vignettes that kind of provide the structure for the performance. So it tells that the films tell the story in her own voice. I'm using a lot of traditional miniature paintings and I'm also using a lot of AI to tell that story visually, because a lot of it is not possible to create immediately and in this moment. So there is that aspect that I feel I'm also taking inspiration from her to use an art for to further a story that needs to be told using present day technology.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Oh, she has.
Very much, very similar to my incredible collaborators, Saneyee and Alka ji as well. I think that technology defines in a great deal how art forms evolve. Now we're on the precipice of this world of AI,
yes.
and how that is changing film and music. And I'm just waiting. Dance is usually the last, but it will happen, and it's, I'm not saying it's bad, it's good, but I am saying that technology, it changes, it helps to evolve the art form. There are other factors as well. And so Kathak film is very popular. Everybody loves film. Everybody sees film. There is nobody who says, I hate film. I hate movies. Nobody. And music too. It may not be the genre of classical Indian, but everybody loves music. But dance, people seem to have, they either love it or they don't like it. You know, dance is, we've always struggled, you know, especially in Kathak, which is, you know, it's a small world, the Kathak world. And so I am always looking for ways, as my Guruji did, of how to get it to more people. And I'm not going to say more accessible, because I don't like that word, because it appears, it's a lot of connotation with it, and also it makes it seem like you have to dilute it. And that is not at all what I'm saying, but how to make it more relevant, how to make it to use the technology of film in the dance, to use the technology which has, the proscenium has been there for probably 100 years, of lights to tell a story. A choreography itself is a technology. You know, in the kotas, you didn't have a 24 by 40 foot stage. You had a tiny little area, tiny little areas. And dance back then was contained. We didn't use the space of the stage, right? So, you know, there's a story of a courtesan who did a dance on a small little platform on the tusk of elephants in the procession. And, you know, you hear all these stories of, well, she was using a new technology, right? Well, I don't know about new, but, you know, you have, so I am inspired, and Janki Bai particularly, that was a 3-minute recording. The gramophone could not, on the wax cylinder, have more than 3 minutes. And that technology forced her to reduce probably what she sang for an hour down to 3 minutes. And I think of my own Guruji, whose solo art form would go on for 2 hours. And when the 1984 Los Angeles Olympic Committee asked him to perform, he had to condense his solo dance down to 8 minutes. And this was in the 80s, 84. And so we're constantly having to have these parameters on our dance to define it and to elevate it. And so the inspiration I'm taking from this is not only her ability to do that, but my collaborators, how they tell the story through their art form. And yeah, I mean, that it's so inspiring.
Yeah, wonderful. And yeah, you have to accept the changing times, and you know, and she went along, like you're saying, and became one of the biggest artists of her times for 2 decades. And I think she charged 5,000 back in the days.
Yeah.
And, amazing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, what I read was that she also created a charitable trust where, you know, to help other people later, the underprivileged. So, very inspiring, I have to say. Looking forward to Veil of Janaki Bai, November 7th, 8th and 9th at the Odyssey Theatre in San Francisco. Tickets available at Chitresh dasinstitute.org. So do not miss this. You have 3 days. Go at least one day and you know, enjoy and just absorb such stories which are hidden. And thank you to this institute for bringing stories like Janki Bai's to the audience here. And I won't use the word accessible. Yes. Thank you all for coming to Off the Cuff. And it was a pleasure talking to you. Looking forward to the show.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.